thank you very much for the presentation. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. So I want to thank the organizer, Joan Davila, my brother, because we are the same advisor, Embraces, Manuel Del Pino, and also Lucia Scardia. So since I thought that many people were not too familiar with control, I start to explain what is a control system. The outline of the talk, I will present first some example of control system. Then I will give some results about the controllability in finite dimension, which is the starting point, I see. And then I will present some method to deal with the case of partial differential equations. Example of control system. So what is a control system? It's just a dynamical system, y dot. This is y dot is dy over dt is equal to f of y. This is the usual dynamical system. But the novelty is that now we have y dot is equal to f of y and u of t. U is a control, and we can choose the control in order to achieve some goals. This is the target. And the trajectory now is just a couple yu, which is a solution of the dynamics y dot is equal to f of y and u. Let me give some example. The classical example in finite dimensional system, because y could be infinite dimensional, could be some PDE, some infinite dimensional state. A classical example is a card inverted pendulum. You have a card which is moving on a line, and above the card there is an inverted pendulum with a mass at the end, and the control u is the force that you apply to the card. So the dynamics y dot is equal to f of y and u. Yes, I should mention that there is a center of rotation c, so the rod can move freely around the center of rotation c. So we introduce the state. The state has four components: the position of the car, the velocity of the car, the angle of the rod, and the angular velocity. So this is the state y, and the control is the force that you apply to the car. So it takes the form y dot is equal to f of y and u, where f is given by the formula 2. So this is our first example. A second example, this is a baby stroller. You look for the baby stroller from above. Of course, this is a simplified model. So we have three components, y1, y2. This is the coordinate of the middle of the back wheels, and y3 is the angle of the baby stroller with some fixed direction. And the front wheel are caster wheels. They can move freely as indicated on the figure. And then the dynamics is given by 1, where u1 and u2 are the two natural control. You push or you apply a torque to the baby stroller. So y1 is equal to u1 cosine y3, y2 is equal to u1 sine y3, y3 dot is equal to u2. So the dimension of the state y is 3, and the dimension of the control u, which is in Rm, is 2. Now we move to the case of a system modeled by a partial differential equation, which is more on the topics of the seminar. So we have a tank. Inside the tank there is some water, and the control is the force that you apply to the tank. So there is many possibilities to model this type, and we are going to use this type of problem. We are going to use the Saint-Bernard equation. So we assume that the height of the water is rather small, and we define some coordinates. You have v, the velocity of the fluid with respect to the boundary. So on the boundary, the velocity is 0. H is the height of the water, and d is the position of the tank. And then y dot is equal to f of y and u. Now takes the form which is given by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is a PDE part, which is 1 and 2. The first one is the conservation of mass. The second equation is the conservation of momentum. And then you have the boundary condition. The velocity is 0 on the boundary. S dot is equal to u. S is the speed of the tank, so there is no mistake. There is nothing mysterious. And d dot is equal to s of t. So this is our control system, and there is a mixture of PDE and ordinary differential equation. Now an example with Euler or Navier-Stokes control system. you have the point X inside the domain where there is a fluid, omega, and the velocity, the state, now is a function which depends on time, but also on the position X. This is ytx, and the control is on the boundary. We give more detail later on. The control could be also inside the domain. And the equation, so we have the equation, the Euler equation, which is equation 1. So we consider the case where the control is on the boundary. Yt plus the derivative of y in the direction of y plus the gradient of the pressure is 0. The divergence of y is equal to 0. And the fluid slips on the boundary on the place where there is no control. The control is on gamma. So we do not say what happened on gamma. Roughly speaking, we do what we want on gamma. So this is some implicit formulation of the control system. You could have also the Navier-Stokes equation instead of the Euler equation. So now there is a new term, Laplacian of y, and then there is a boundary condition. For example, one can take y is equal to 0 on the place where there is no control, which is a typical Stokes boundary condition, no slip. And for the control, we can take y on gamma. We do what we want for y on gamma. And now there is an important problem. You have the control system. We start from the position which is y1. This is the initial state. And you have a target that you want to reach. And the question, is it possible, thanks to a control that you choose well, is it possible to move from y0 to y1 in a given time, capital T? So this is a very natural question. For example, for the water tank control system, you have some waves at the beginning, and you want, just by moving the tank, by applying a force to the tank, you want to destroy the wave. Is it possible? Another problem on the same model, you have the tank which is at some position, the water is at rest, and you want to arrive to a new position, but you want to do the motion in such a way that when you arrive to the new position, the water is again at rest, and the tank also has a speed which is equal to 0. This is a typical problem of controllability. For the control system given by the Euler equation, so you have two configurations of vector fields with divergence which is equal to 0, y0 and y1. We have the slip boundary impermeability condition on d omega minus the place where there is a control, which is called gamma. Is it possible to find a solution of the underdeterminate equation, the Euler equation 2, with divergence of y is equal to 0, such that we start at time 0 at y0, and you want to arrive at time y, at time capital T, you want to arrive at y1. So this is very natural question, controllability. You start from y0, you want to reach another state. So maybe a small commercial break. You can find some other example in my books. It's freely available on my webpage. So I will start to give results first in finite dimensions, then we will move to partial differential equation. The simplest system are the linear system. Y dot is equal to AY plus BU, where A and B are matrices. And then of course, the result is known since a long time. It's known since 1960. It's the Kalman-Rank condition. You fix the time capital T. You have the controllability if and only if the span of the A to the power I, BU, where U is in Rn and I is between 0 and n minus 1, is equal to all of Rn. You see, we stop at n minus 1 because of Cayley-Hamilton. There is no use to keep going. So you stop there. And then there is another remark which is important compared to the case of partial differential equation. You see that the condition does not depend on capital T. And we are going to see that this is very special for linear system in finite dimension. This is false for nonlinear system in finite dimension, and this is false also for partial differential equation. Now we move to the case of nonlinear control system. So we are going to look for a local result. So we have some equilibrium, that is, we have some YE and UE such that f of YE UE is equal to 0. So if you start at YE, you use the control UE, you just stay at YE. And you want to find a definition. There are many possible definitions of controllability. And you are going to use what is called small time local controllability, which is very classical in finite dimension, where, roughly speaking, everything is going to be small in the sense that u is going to be close to ue, y is going to be close to ye, and the time is going to be close to 0. So this condition is this. You say whatever is the ball of center at ye, whatever, you can find another ball, the blue one, such that if you start, you have to have 2 points, y0 and y1 in the blue ball. Then it's possible to move from the first point to the second point by using a control which is close to UE, and the time you see is also small. The time is epsilon. Epsilon, of course, is small, as usual. And you have this picture. So this very natural property. You want to move from y0 to y1, where y0 and y1 are close to y0, and you want to make it in small time with a control which is close to UE. So we want to find a necessary and sufficient condition for small time local controllability. And we start with a sufficient condition. Then there is this advice, which is a very classical one given by Nirenberg, who is, besides being a very great mathematician, also give great advice when you have no more idea to solve a problem. And one of his famous advice is, have you tried to linearize? So we follow this advice. We do the expansion. We just consider the linearized system, which is y dot is equal to ay plus bu. That is, we assume everything is small, y is close to ye, u is close to ue, and you do the expansion to the other one. And you get y dot is equal to ay plus bu, where a and b are given by the equation 1. And then, just by using the inverse mapping theorem, you get that if the linearized control system is controllable, then the nonlinear system is small time locally controllable. And if you want to find some application, you go back to the Cartesian pendulum, we compute A and B, they are given on the slide. You check the Kalman-Ronde condition, the linearized control system is controllable, and therefore the nonlinear system is small time locally controllable around the equilibrium, which is y equals 0, u is equal to 0. But of course, you do not expect that this sufficient condition is necessary. And here is a simple example. We go back to the baby stroller. You have the dynamics, which is given by the equation 1. You consider the equilibrium 0, 0, 0. The first one is in R3, the second one is in R2. And you see, if you do the linearization, that is, you do the expansion to the other one, you get y1 dot is equal to u1, y2 dot, and now this is like a quadratic term, you get y2 dot is equal to 0, y3 dot is equal to u2. So it's not possible. This system is not controllable because you cannot change y2. Whatever is the control you use, it cannot you cannot change y2. So the linearized control system is not controllable. And what do you do when the linearized control is not controllable? You use iterated Lie bracket. I'm going to recall what is it. When you have two vector fields x and y, you define the Lie bracket of x and y as the derivative of y in the direction of x minus the derivative of x in the direction of y. And for simplicity, we are going to assume that f of yu are of the form given by 2, which is called control affine system. And when there is no drift, f0 is called the drift. And when there is no drift, it means that f0 is equal to 0. And then we are going to consider the Lie algebra generated by the FI. This is the smallest vector space of the infinity of Rn into Rn, such that if you have two vectors in the space, then the Lie bracket is again in the space. And in this slide, I want to show you why the Lie bracket of two vector fields appear naturally. So you have the control system y dot is equal to u1 f1 of y plus u2 f2 of y, and you want to study the local controllability of this system. So we can move in the direction of f1 of a just by taking u1 equal 1 and u2 equal 0. You can do the opposite, minus f1. You can do f2, fa, and minus f2 of a. And I'm going to show you how to move in a new direction. During the interval of time 0 epsilon, you use u1 equal eta 1 and u2 equal 0. Eta 1 and eta 2 are some real number which are given. Epsilon is some real number which is positive and is going to be small. During the interval of time epsilon 2 times epsilon, you use u1 equals 0 and u2 equal eta 2. During the interval of time 2 times epsilon, 3 times epsilon, you use u1 equal minus eta 1 and u2 equals 0. And finally, during the interval of time 3 times epsilon, 4 times epsilon, you use u1 equals 0 and u2 equal minus eta 2. And you compute where you arrive. And it turns out that if you do the expansion, you see the quadratic term is in the direction of the Lie bracket of f1 and f2. There is no linear term, there is no term in epsilon. The first term, which is maybe is not 0, is the Lie bracket of f1 and f2. So you see you have succeeded to move in a new direction. And this can be generalized. And there is this very nice result, which is rather old, in 1938, which tells you that if you have a driftless control system, f of y equal u, f of y and u is given by 1, you consider the Lie bracket, all the Lie brackets that you can do with the fi, and you consider the space generated by this Lie bracket. If at the point ye this is all of Rn, then the control system is small time locally controllable at ye 0. So this is very nice result, very powerful. It's possible also to get a global result, but I will not present it here. So if we go back to the baby stroller system, which studies the controllability, you have f1 and f2 of y. You compute the Lie bracket of f1 and f2, and you see that f1 of 0, f2 of 0, and the Lie bracket of f1 and f2 at 0, they span all of R3. So the baby stroller is small time locally controllable at the origin. And if there is a drift term, the situation is more involved. You can consider this Lie algebraic condition. So we consider this, which is given by 1, the condition 1. It's a necessary condition for small time local controllability in the case where the system is analytic. If it is not analytic, there are counterexamples. But of course, many systems are analytic systems. So it's very powerful result, very interesting. And let me show you why the Lie bracket of 2v of f0 with a drift term, f0 and f1 is also interesting. We start with this control system y dot is equal to f0 of y plus u f1 of y, and you assume that f of 0 at the point A is equal to 0. You do something similar to what we did before. During the interval of time 0 epsilon, you consider u equal minus eta. During the interval of time epsilon, 2 times epsilon, you use u equal eta. And then you have succeeded to move in the direction of the Lie bracket of f0 and f1. So the drift term is also important for the Lie bracket. And in fact, if you look to the Kalman-Ronc condition, you can try to see how it is connected to the Lie algebraic condition, and you can prove, you can check that the Lie algebraic condition is equivalent to the Kalman-Ronc condition. So we have two cases which are very important, where the Lie algebraic condition is necessary and sufficient for small time local controllability. This is the case of a linear system and driftless control system. But unfortunately, there are counterexamples for non-linear system, even analytic, when there is a drift term. If you consider this control system, y1 dot is equal to y2 square, y2 dot is equal to u. So the state is of dimension 2, the control is of dimension 1. So it takes the form y dot is equal to f0 of y plus u f1 of y, where f0 and f1 are given by 2. You compute the Lie bracket of f1 with the Lie bracket of f1 and f0. You find it has two components, 2, 0, and this vector field with f1 of 0, they span all of R2. So the Lie algebraic condition is satisfied, but the control system 1 is clearly not small time locally controllable because y1 is always increasing in time. So you cannot move in the direction given by -1, 0. So it's not small time locally controllable, but the Lie algebraic condition is satisfied. So many people have worked on this problem to try to find a necessary and sufficient condition, and it's not known, but there are very powerful sufficient condition, very powerful necessary condition. I have listed some people who has worked on this important issue, but the answer is still not completely. It's not completely understood. We do not have the necessary and sufficient conditions for small time local controllability, even if this is a polynomial system. Now we move to the PDE because this is the subject of the seminar. Of course, you can try to use a Lie bracket, and this has been used for many equations, partial differential equation with a great success. So I have listed some equation where it's working very well. But I want to present you an example where it's not working very well. So we consider the simplest partial differential control system. So yt is transport equation, yt is dy over dt plus yx dy over dx is equal to 0, and yt0 is equal to u of t. So you can think of as y dot is equal to f0 of y plus u f1 of y. And you want to understand what is a Lie bracket in this situation. So we go back to the picture that we saw before. We start from 0. We use the control u equal minus theta during the interval of time 0 epsilon. Then you use u equal eta during the interval of time epsilon 2 times epsilon. And you see where do we arrive. So we arrive to the function which is given by 4 and 5. Y2 epsilon x is equal to eta for x between 0 and epsilon. Y2 epsilon x is equal to minus theta for x belonging to epsilon 2 to epsilon 2 times epsilon. And for x larger than 2 times epsilon, this is 0. So we have the function at the time 2 times epsilon. So we compute, we subtract the initial data, which is 0. We divide by epsilon squared, and we try to see if there is a limit, because the limit is the Lie bracket of f1, f0. But it turns out that it's not working because the usual space is L2 of 0L, and it has no limit in L2 of 0L. Of course, we know in analysis we have always some tools to try to find some limit to something. Yes, and in fact there is a way which is a distribution sense. We test with the function phi. We look to the limit and we get that it's minus theta phi prime of 0. So in some sense, the Lie bracket of the f0 and f1 for this system is a derivative of the Dirac mass at the origin. But unfortunately, we do not know how to use this derivative of Dirac mass because we are no longer in the space. The limit, the quotient, the limit of the quotient is converging to something, but not in the space in which we are working. So it's a very challenging problem to understand how we can use this method. But if we, for this simple equation, we can compute everything and we can see what is going on. So we start, because on every line, every green line with the slope is 1, y is just constant. So the situation is very clear. If the time is less than capital L, then you do not have controllability, because at time capital T, there is a part, which is the right part, that you cannot change. Whatever is the control that you are using, on the right part at capital T, it is given by y0. For example, if y0 is equal to 1, it will be equal to 1. And so you cannot be equal to 0, for example. But if the time is larger, then there is no problem, because you can fix the control in such a way. For example, if you want to arrive to 0, you just take q of t equals 0. So there is something which is very interesting. You have the controllability if and only if the time is at least equal to L. So you see, times matter now. It's a linear PDE. It's not like in finite dimension where the time does not matter for the controllability. Here the times matter. We have the controllability if and only if the time is larger than L. So there are many tools to study the controllability of linear partial differential equation. So I have listed some of them. So income inequalities and harmonic analysis, multiplayer method, micro-local analysis, Kaleman inequalities. So all of these tools are very powerful and gives you, even if there are still some open problems for controllability of linear partial differential equation, you have many results thanks to this method. But what can we do in the case where the linearized control system is not controllable? Because in finite dimension, in this case, we use iterated Lie bracket, but now for PDE, we know that Lie brackets are not so successful for many situations. So I want to show you a method that we can apply to the control of the linear equation, which is the following one. This is a method to avoid the use of Lie brackets. So we have this picture Y, and you fix the time capital T. So the first idea is to try to linearize around zero, but maybe it's not working because the linearized control system is not controllable. This is a case of interest. And then you try to find another trajectory. This is the difficulty of the method, to try to find some y bar such that it starts at zero, arrive again at zero, but the linearized control system around y bar is controllable. If this is possible, then using the inverse mapping theorem, you get that if you have a y0 which is in B0, a small ball center at zero, a y1 which is in the small ball B1, then it's possible to move from the first point to the second point by using a control which is close to y bar. Okay, you could say this is not local controllability because you are close to y bar and we want to be close to zero. But it may happen that y bar is also close to zero. And we are going to give some example just now. If we go back to the baby stroller, we know thanks to the iterated Lie bracket that the baby stroller is locally controllable. But we want to prove the same result without using Lie bracket because we know that Lie brackets are difficult to use for partial differential equations. But we follow this idea. We try to find a y bar and a u bar, which is the trajectory of the control system, which starts at zero at time zero and arrive again at zero at time capital T. And for that, you have plenty of them because you can just consider u bar of capital T is equal to minus u bar of T. And then you can check that if you start at zero, use this control, then at capital T, you arrive again at zero. And then you compute the nearest control system. So this is a new control system, which is 3. When we do the linearization around zero, we got that y2 dot is equal to 0, but now there is a new term. And in fact, you can prove that if u bar is not identically equal to 0, then the linearized control system is indeed controllable. And then you can get the local controllability of the baby stroller without using Lie brackets. So this has been used for many equations. I would like to show you how it is working for the Euler equation. So the Euler control system, we are going to consider the case of dimension 2 to simplify, and the control will be on the boundary. So we have this problem. You have y0 and y1, and we want to know if it is possible to move from y0 to y1. And in fact, it's not always possible. There are counterexamples in this type of picture. You assume that you have this domain omega, you have this gamma, which is the right part, but there is a hole inside omega. And then there is a problem because of the Kelvin's law. The Kelvin's law tells you that if you follow a curve inside the domain, then the circulation of the velocity along this curve is constant. Of course, this is true until you reach a point where there is a control. But if you take for the curve sigma, of course, since the fluid is slipping on the boundary, the curve sigma is globally invariant. And then if you have the property 2, that the circulation of y1 on sigma is not equal to the circulation of y0 on sigma, then it's not possible to move from y0 to y1. But you see this type of obstruction falls down if gamma, which is an open set of the boundary of omega, meets every connected component of the boundary of omega. And then, in fact, it's possible to prove that in this situation, you have the global controllability in small time. And the idea is really to use the return method. You start by linearizing the system to see if we can get a local result. It's not working because the linearized system is given by 1. If you take the curl of the first equation, then you get that the curl of y does not change with respect to time. So if the curl of y0 is not equal to the curl of y1 as a function, then it's not possible to move from y0 to y1. So the linearized control system is very far from being controllable. Then you try to find this y bar, which starts at 0, arrive again at 0, such that the linearized control system is controllable. Of course, the difficulty is to find this y bar, but for that, you use potential flow. That is, you consider harmonic function, delta of theta, the Laplacian of theta is equal to 0 and d theta over d nu is equal to 0 and d omega minus gamma. You take any function of time, alpha, such that alpha of 0 is equal to alpha of t, and you define y bar and p bar as in 1. And then this is a solution. This is a solution. So if you want to start with this solution, start from 0 because alpha of 0 is equal to 0. Alpha of capital T is equal to 0, so you arrive again at 0. And you have a solution which starts from 0, arrive again at 0. So you compute the linearized system. Now you have this new linearized system, because before there was y bar equals 0, so there was no this term y, the derivative of y in the direction of y bar and so on. And now if you take the curl again, then you see that the curl is transported with y bar. So if you have a point y bar such that y bar is vanishing at that point, then you are not able to change the curl. But this is the only obstruction. You can show that if the gradient of theta does not vanish in omega, then you can control the equation 2 thanks to what happened on the boundary. And then you can prove the local controllability, the controllability of the linear system and get the local controllability of the nonlinear system around y bar. And in order to get a good theta, you just take gamma plus and gamma minus as on the picture. You consider a function g going from the boundary of omega with value into r, such that the integral of g is equal to 0. G is positive on gamma plus, negative on gamma minus. And you solve now the Neumann boundary problem. And you see that the gradient of theta does not vanish in omega. And you solve the problem. Of course, you get a local result for that, but this is a quadratic system. What is interesting for the quadratic system is that if you have a local result, you have a global one. And this is, you can see that just by considering this if you have a solution y and p of the Euler equation, then y epsilon p epsilon is again a solution of the Euler equation. And so you get the global controllability in small time. Now I would like to move to the Navier-Stokes equation. And the idea is to use, so we try to understand if the Navier-Stokes equation is controllable, and we are going to see how we can try to study that. And the idea is to use scaling. Let's start with infinite dimension. So you do the linearization around 0, and maybe this linearized control system is controllable. So you get these two sets B1 and B2. If you have a point in B1, a point in B2, you can move from the first point to the second point in the interval of time 0t. But this is only local. But maybe if you can find some family of U bar, so you have this again a solution of the control system with some control U bar. Maybe the set B1 and B2 for this Y bar is going to be larger. And maybe you can get a global controllability by taking Y bar, which is larger and larger. Let me give some example in finite dimension. So we have a y dot is equal to f of y plus bu of t. F is a quadratic term, so it's like the Euler equation, because the Euler equation is quadratic in the sense that you have the derivative of y in the direction of y. And you assume that you can use for this control system the return method. You assume that there is a trajectory going from 0 to 0, such that the linearized control system is controllable. Usually you cannot take y bar equals 0, y bar equals 0, u bar equals 0, it's a solution, but the linearized control system is just y dot is equal to bu, so if m is less than n, it's not controllable. And then you are interested in this other system where y is a linear term. So it's like the Laplacian of y. You see, you have the perturbation with the Laplacian. So you move from the Euler equation to the Navier-Stokes equation. And you can prove that, and I'm going to check the proof of that because it's related to what you can do for the Navier-Stokes equation. If you have these assumptions that we mentioned before, then the new system 1, where there is a linear term, is controllable in small time and globally. And the idea is to use some scaling. You fix some time t0 and some epsilon which is positive, and you consider u tilde epsilon, y tilde epsilon. This is the trajectory of the system which starts at epsilon y0. And let's assume that you succeed to find the u tilde epsilon such that y tilde epsilon at time z0 is equal to epsilon y1. Then if you consider y and u, which are defined by 4, it's a solution of the system without epsilon, and it starts at y0, and that time epsilon t0, which is small, in fact, because epsilon is small, you arrive at y1. So you see, it's rather strange. The system 5, in fact, you can handle it by looking to the system 2, where epsilon being small, you can try to use some perturbative agreement. And for that, of course, you could say, okay, I take epsilon equals 0, and I look to the linearized system. But the linearized system, if you take the linearization around 0, it's not controllable. So you have again to use this u bar and this y bar. So you use the inverse mapping theorem to some function g, which is given here. This is something that you can give at some exam. It's an application of the inverse mapping theorem. And you consider this map G, which is defined on the slide. You start at epsilon y0, you use the equation 6, and you see where you arrive. You subtract epsilon y1, and you use the fact that at G of 0 u bar is equal to 0. And then you compute the derivative, and then the derivative with respect to u tilde is just to see if it is on 2. And to see if it is on 2 is just to see if the linearized system around y bar, u bar is controllable. And it turns out to be the assumptions that we made. So it's working and you get the result. And so this is you can go back to the, you move back, you forget the epsilon, you can define y and u as we saw before, and you get a solution where there is no epsilon, and this solution is such that it allows to move from y0 to y1. So of course, for PDE, it's going to be more complicated than that, because assume that because the perturbation, you see A of y, which is a linear perturbation, when you put the epsilon in front of, may have some more derivatives at f of y. This is like if you have the transport equation and you perturb it with the heat equation, epsilon y x x. Of course, you do not expect to be able to prove from the controllability of 1 the controllability of 2, because there is more derivative. So it's more complicated. You cannot do like that. So we change a little bit this approach. And the idea is to perform the same type of scaling, which is given by 2, and you expand the z, so it's y bar plus epsilon z1 plus epsilon z square, and you compute the solution of z, what is z1, what is z2, what is v1, what is v2, and you see that you get the linearized control system around y bar, u bar, and the assumption is that controllable. So you can check that if you start, you do the scaling back. If you start, which is of something of order 1, you arrive at something which is of order epsilon. And then it's only a local problem. You want to move from something which is small, you want to move to 0 exactly. And so you can use for that the linearized control system around 0 is controllable. So this is a method to get the controllability. So we can try to use this method for the controllability of the Navier-Stokes equation. So this is something I just want to see in this, to say in this slide that, roughly speaking, A or Y is something like which is a small perturbation in some sense, because you can put epsilon in front of. But of course, there is a big issue in the case of the Navier-Stokes equation, because we know that when we put epsilon Laplacian of y, Navier-Stokes equation, we know this is a difficult issue. It's not something which is understood. Does the conversion? Do you have the convergence for the Navier-Stokes of the Navier-Stokes solution to the Euler equation when the viscosity tends to 0? It's known if there is no boundary. It's not an issue. So from that, you can get the global null controllability of the Navier-Stokes equation when there is no boundary and the control is inside the domain. But if there is a boundary, there is a very challenging open problem, and many people think that the answer is no to this question. You consider the Euler equation. We are in dimension 2, so everything is well posed. you have the Euler equation, the Navier-Stokes equation with a small viscosity, and you want to know if you have a convergence of the solution to the Navier-Stokes equation to the solution of the Euler equation. And this is a very challenging open problem. Do you have the convergence in L2, for example? And if you put some compact set in omega, you have a strong convergence, let's say in L infinity or in Cm, inside the compact set. And this is a very challenging open problem. There are some partial results in the case where omega is a half space and in the analytic setting. So, but there is something that we can try to do. It's a case of the Navier-Stokes boundary condition. It's a condition that we are going to see later on. And then in this case, we have some interesting results about the convergence of the Navier-Stokes equation with this Navier-Stokes boundary condition to the Euler equation as the viscosity tends to 0. So what is this Navier-Stokes boundary condition? So you have the impermeability condition, y dot nu is equal to 0. And then you have this second condition, which tells you, roughly speaking, that the fluid can slip on the boundary with some friction. There is some coefficient. So for example, if A is equal to alpha identity, then if you take alpha equals 0, it means that there is no friction. The fluid slip on the boundary without any friction. And when alpha tends to plus infinity, there is more and more friction. And at the end, you get the case of the no slip boundary condition, Stokes condition. And the result that we want to prove is can we prove the global controllability, the global null controllability of this type of equation with this boundary condition? And we proved that recently that this is the case. We proved that you can get the global null controllability of the Navier-Stokes equation with the Navier-Stokes boundary condition. And what are some comments I would like to say? We assume that gamma, the place where there is a control, meets every connected component of the boundary of omega, which is the assumption that we have made for the Euler equation. For the Euler equation, this is a necessary condition for controllability. But for the Navier-Stokes equation, maybe it has nothing to do with the controllability. We use this assumption because we are going to deduce the controllability of the Navier-Stokes equation from the controllability of the Euler equation, as we have deduced the controllability of y dot is equal to ay plus f of y plus bu from the controllability of y dot is equal to f of y plus bu. We are going to forget the Laplacian, and when you forget the Laplacian, you get the Euler equation. This is why we make this assumption, because this is the assumption for the controllability of the Euler equation. Let me make some remark. In dimension 2, our solution was strong. His initial data was smooth. We didn't know at that time if this is true in dimension 2, and this has been proved that it's indeed the case. Also in dimension 2, this is a result by Miao, Xu, and Zhang. And there are some open problems. Can we replace the assumption that we made in order to have the controllability of the Euler equation by just gamma is a non-empty and let's say omega is connected. That is, yeah. We do not assume simply connected. The boundary may have many connected components. And then, of course, what is very challenging is the case of the no-slip boundary condition, because in this case, we do not have the convergence. We do not know if we have the convergence of the Navier-Stokes equation to the Euler equation as the viscosity tends to 0. So what are the main ingredients of the proof? They are what I explained before, in fact. That is, you try to use the controllability of the Euler equation. We try to use this y bar. So we use the controllability of the Euler equation. A key point is, in fact, that there is some equation for, you see, when your epsilon goes to 0, there is a boundary layer which is created, and you want to try to control this boundary layer. It's not possible to control it, but you can try to have a good dissipation of the boundary layer. And this is the key step of this proof compared to what was known before. So this is the dissipation method due to Frédéric Marvac that I'm going to explain now. If you compute the boundary layer, let's assume that you have on the half line, and you have on half plane, then the boundary layer is just some heat equation on the half line. So this is equation 1. You cannot expect, even if you control weak psi of Tx0, you cannot expect to get the controllability. But the idea is that maybe you see it, if you start with some initial data, then the solution is going to decrease, to decay, but the decay is too small because it's like 1 divided by square root of t. And you want to have a better convergence to 0 in order to use then a local result at the end. But if you can prove that if you have this condition 2, then you have a good estimate of the decay rate. The decay rate is much larger than 1 square root of t. In fact, if you want a decay rate of 1 divided by t to some power p, you just need to add enough moment condition like this one. So the key point is to do all what we did before, but in such a way that when you arrive at time t0, then the boundary conditions, the boundary layer dissipates quickly enough. That is, you want to have this condition. And this is possible because you see it takes, this is this type of picture. You inside the boundary layer, you can put some control on the right part. So you succeed to impose at time t0, we succeed to impose that this condition is satisfied. And then we get the result. You get the global null controllability of the Navier-Stokes condition with the Navier slip boundary condition. So maybe I think I'm going to stop here because this is